Hi, this is Phil Landers, designated broker at Keller Williams Real Estate Company. Today we're going to have career conversations with Phil where we're going to showcase our top agents. We're going to be learning about their systems, their strategies, and their mindsets on building big businesses. We're changing lives and living the dream. Welcome to this edition of Career Conversations with Phil. Our special guest today is David Ostrander. David, thank you for coming into the studio today, and we're going to learn a little bit about you and your business. And so thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's really an honor to actually be asked to be in a part of this podcast. So I know that it's only a unique group of people that get asked. So thank you.
Well, you are a unique person.
Yes, thank you.
So let's take you back. What were you doing, David, before real estate?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I was actually in the corporate world. I worked in human resources for a couple of large organizations before I decided to step out and be self-employed.
So how long were you doing the corporate gig, so to speak?
It was right at about 5.5, 6 years.
Okay.
I was pretty much out of college. I spent a year in sales right out of college and then got into the corporate world and in human resources.
Gotcha.
And did that until about 3.5 years ago, got into real estate.
So 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. So what made you want a career in real estate?
It was really not as much as real estate as it was that I just had a drive and a desire to be self-employed, and I didn't know what direction to take that.
Okay.
And I had a buddy of mine that I was helping him run a landscape company, and he was also a realtor. And he said, "Man, you ought to look into this." And he kind of gave me the rundown a little bit. And I said, "Well, let's go for it." So that was my initial jump into self-employment, but also into real estate.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about yourself in the audience so they can kind of get a glimpse of who David is. So young man, you went from 4 to 5 years in the corporate world. A friend encouraged you to get in real estate, so you jumped in. Now we're in 100% commission. We don't have a guaranteed paycheck anymore, as far as I know. And tell me about your family, married, kids, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. We actually, that was a big piece of it too. When I got into real estate, it was just me and my wife. Right. And now we've got a 3-year-old. Gotcha. And we've got another one coming in November, right before Thanksgiving. Thank you. Yeah, we're excited. So.
Well, I don't think you shared that news with me before, so I apologize for not knowing.
No, we're excited. We're wanting to grow the family, and this is a great time, and we're excited.
Man, you should be excited. I love it. So y'all are going to be man to man now.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
We have a wife, we have 2 kids, second one coming, and we don't have any guarantees in this business, right? Yep. So you're out there having to make something happen every day. Yep. And thank you so much for sacrificing your time to come in and share your life story with us and what you're doing to make success happen for you. So you've been in real estate for about 2.5, 3 years at this other company, and now you're making a transition to Keller Williams. Why Keller Williams? What appeals to you about Keller Williams?
Well, it's really funny. So when I started in real estate, I spent the first 6 months at another company.
Gotcha.
And it was the company that my buddy was at that got me into real estate. And the people there were great, and I loved them. And yet I had no sales.
Gotcha.
Well, surrounding yourself with nice people doesn't bring you a paycheck.
Right.
It's got to be I fell into a trap where people told me, "Man, you would be great at that," but I didn't know what to do.
Uh-huh.
And so I spent 6 months slinging everything against the wall, seeing what would stick, and couldn't figure it out. Right. And so I was acquaintances with somebody who was a top agent with Keller Williams, and I said, "Man, without crossing any kind of boundaries or, ethical boundaries or anything like that, what can you tell me that would help my business?" And he told me some things, and I went, "Well, man, logically, if he's willing to help me and we don't even work for the same company, how much could he help me if I went to that company?"
Fantastic.
And so that started the conversation, and it wasn't 2 or 3 weeks before I had made a transition to Keller Williams. And it's just been that way ever since. I've just found that the learning is not confined to the individual. It is It is we're all teaching each other and we're all learning together, and there's no secret shared, so to speak.
Right.
Unshared.
So we have a culture of sharing in this company,
Yeah.
and really a culture of giving and trying to help you grow your business so that you can be successful and live the biggest life possible. Is that, I mean, I'm not trying to speak for you, but have you found that to be true?
100%. I mean, there's no, and I speak from experience of being in another company,
right,
and also spending time around a lot of other agents and brokers. And what I find is that regardless of where you go, they're scared to talk to you about business because they're in an environment that is like, it's a scarcity mindset.
Gotcha.
If I don't get that, if I don't hold my business tight, somebody's going to take it.
Right.
Whereas we're in the mindset of let's treat our customers right so nobody will take them, and there's enough out there for us to not have to go take it from people. So, it seems that Keller Williams is just so much more on abundance mindset that we can focus on helping rather than take.
Great. Thanks for that story. So I heard you say you've been in real estate now for 3 years. So about 2.5 years with Keller Williams. Okay. So we have other new agents out there. Relatively, you're still a new agent. You're on the path to grow your business, right? And so what would you tell a new agent that is thinking about, or person thinking about a career, going from a corporate setting or a guaranteed check to going into the full-time commission, getting into real estate? What would you tell that person that's listening out there today?
Yeah. Well, the one of the things that I was told was that if you're employed by somebody, then it's even less of a guaranteed check because they're the one that's determining it.
Okay. I hadn't thought of it that way. That's a great observation.
That was the first thing that was told to me is they said, my buddy, he said, "Hey man, are you looking for another job because it's a guaranteed paycheck?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And he said, "Is it really though?" He said, "You've got somebody else they could walk in at any given day and say, I'm not going to pay you today.
Yeah.
You're gone."
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. And he said, whereas the other side is you can go make money on your own.
Yeah.
And so that was my first kind of aha moment of,
gotcha.
This is the right move for me to make. And then the other piece of it is really evaluate your situation. I think everybody's situation is different.
Gotcha.
So there's some people who can jump, like me, I jumped ship and I was burn the boats. We're going to sell real estate.
Right.
Not everybody's in that. I didn't have children at the time.
Right.
We had done well financially up to that point. My wife was working. We were in a position for me to be able to do that. There are some people who aren't.
That's right.
So evaluate, what's your situation? And on the same token, understand that if you get into real estate, it's probably got more upside potential than where you are right now. So even if you get with a company that's going to teach you how to do business, use the hours in the day that you're not using at your other office, at your other work to put into real estate, make enough money to get you out of that. And all of a sudden you're on a track to success.
Perfect. Well, let's pivot over into your production and how you're doing being 3 years new in the business. So let me ask you, do you know your numbers?
Yep.
Okay. And so would you be surprised if I told you that your business is actually up 69.3%?
It was actually a little higher when I looked at your numbers, so I was appreciative of that.
Okay. That's fine.
But
it's over a certain time frame. So it'd be, it'd be over October to August 18 to the same period in 19.
That's right.
And so that's what it's judging you. So we're probably looking at a little different
I looked January to
Gotcha. Gotcha. But we show 69.3%. So let me ask you, what do you attribute that success to?
It's really interesting. One of the things that I talked with some other agents, some high producing agents about, I feel like if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? Which is why I'm sitting here with you today. But I sat with some high producing agents and I said, what are you doing to get your numbers that high? And one of the pieces that I had not focused on is higher priced houses.
Right.
And so I actually took time to pursue some of those.
Okay.
And so there's a number of houses, if we look individually through the units I sold, that were $400,000 to $500,000 and $550,000 houses.
Right.
Whereas in the past, some of those numbers would have been differentiated by $150,000 houses, which of course brings all the numbers down. So that's one of the things is I just made it a purpose to go after a new area of real estate.
So let's talk into that for a second for a couple of reasons. Because I don't want our audience to think, hey, man, all I got to do is shift my eyes up.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Because you need to have a balanced approach, because I could go after, in that analogy, I could go after $3 million homes, and they may not sell but once every 10 years. It could be a long drought.
Absolutely.
So we have to be careful of taking on that strategy. But what I heard you say is you took a deliberate strategy to focus on some higher priced properties that would increase your volume, increase your commission checks.
Absolutely.
And I'm assuming that you did not ditch, the lower price. You're going to continue to work that sphere of influence and do the things you need to do so that you stay successful at that price point as well. Because I remember my mom telling me many years ago, she goes, Phil, those big price houses, those $2 million houses are like bears and they will eat your lunch. She goes, I like all these little rabbits, about 100, 150,000. They will just kind of keep producing. Right. And there's more demand at that level. Okay.
Absolutely.
So you know your numbers and you have a strategy. So the strategy is all about a goal too. So what is your goal for this year, to finish this year?
$3.5 million was my goal to finish this year.
Okay.
And that's where I started the year, and I'm pretty close.
Very nice.
And what's in my funnel to close over the next couple of months will exceed that.
Very nice.
So I'm looking at it going, do I just jump my goal up? Because I set it realistically initially. And now that I'm there, I'm going, well, I'm getting there a little earlier than I thought. So let's move it up to 4, I guess, So,
well, you've already hit your goal. So everything on top is just icing on the cake, right?
Yeah.
Great. So next year, when you go to set your goals, because I hear you saying you're a goal driven, very analytical type person, where are you going to set them next year?
$5 million.
$5 million. Is that achievable for you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so let me ask you, do you have a plan on achieving that $5 million? We would call it a 135 in our company, or a GPS, which stands for goals, priorities, and systems. You have a GPS for that $5 million production.
And going through Bold right now is helping me derive that and make that more fine tuned for next year.
Okay, so Bold is a class you're investing in. You're going to Bold. Okay, great. Have you been in a position yet through Keller Williams to receive 100% of your commission?
Yes.
You've capped out then, so you've received 100%. Tell me about that. How did that make you feel?
Well, it's good. It's a good achievement. I mean, it helps. Of course, it's not the ultimate goal, but it's an incentive for sure.
And so it's available to everyone, but not necessarily achievable by everyone.
Right.
And part of it is your work ethic, your goals, and some of your personal habits that you take on. Let's talk a little bit about your habits. Do you time block?
I do.
Tell me what your time block looks like.
In fact, so most people don't like my time blocking because it starts at 4 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And so I wake up, and I've got it on my calendar. The first time block, it's all color-coded in my Google Calendar. And so the first time block of my calendar says wake up.
Wake up.
And it's at 4 o'clock.
Gotcha.
And that gives me 15 minutes to get up and get ready. And then I'm at the gym by 4:30.
At the gym at 4:30? And how long are you at the gym?
I'm at the gym I give myself an hour, and then I give myself 30 minutes to run. So I give myself an hour and a half in the morning.
Right.
And then the next thing on my calendar is to read and meditate. And pray and do all those things. And then it's on my calendar. It sets. I get a reminder. So when it's time to stop all that, I get a reminder. Now it's time to go get my son up and get him ready for school.
Very nice.
And so I get him up, get him ready while my wife is getting ready. And then when they head out, I get myself ready. And then at 8 o'clock, I've got the first thing on my list is lead generation.
Lead generation. And so you do that for how long?
I've got 2 hours blocked for lead generation.
So tell me what, there's a lot of agents out there that may not understand what lead generation is. They may think it's all cold calling. What does lead generation look like for you?
It's different. And again, I calendar it. I strategize on what I'm going to do. So for me, I love networking. I love face-to-face stuff. So if I find a coffee and contact somewhere, you better believe I'm going to be there.
Very nice.
And if you find any type of a networking event, I'm probably going to be there. In this political season, it's been a ton of events.
Right.
And on the same token, it's being intentional about making phone calls, but also everybody knows the phone call side of things. It's texting people, following up with people. I actually have a section that also lines off after 2 hours that says lead follow-up.
Yeah.
And then I spend 30 minutes doing a lead follow-up. So everything is very intentional in what I'm doing. And a lot of people think I'm just going to events to have fun.
Yeah.
And it is fun, but the purpose is let's have a real estate conversation with as many people as I can
Very nice.
while I'm there.
Well, they say the gold is in the follow-up.
Yep.
Right. And
Yep.
a lot of agents are not doing the follow-up.
Right.
So kudos to you on the follow-up. By the way, you said you've attended Bold. Have you done the Bold 100 challenge?
I have. I haven't done it this
Gotcha.
time, but I have done a Bold 100. And funny you mentioned, it was a networking event. I went to my alma mater's homecoming.
Gotcha.
And went to the tailgate, and I brought 100 cards with me. And it's hard for me to keep up with 100, so I brought 100 cards, and I knew when I run out, I've made my 100.
Very
and
nice.
so that's what I did.
Yeah. So some people do this technique. They'll put pennies in their pocket, maybe 20 pennies, and then they'll move them to the right pocket when they've had their 20 contacts or whatever the case may be. So what I heard you to say is that you've been to Bold multiple times.
Yep.
So what is your biggest aha from Bold?
This is my third time I'm in right now.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So the biggest thing for me with Bold, and the reason that I continue to go, is that I tend to get, and I'm probably not abnormal in this, but I tend to get in slumps. I tend to kind of, it just gets monotonous.
Yes.
And things begin to just, it's like, there's got to be something new. And every time I drag myself to Bold, I'm like, I don't really want to do this. I know what they're going to say. And granted, this time's new, but I'm usually just like, I don't want to. And that's right. Thank you. And yet this time's new. So I'm coming in as a mindset thing for me. It is, I know I'm going to be reminded of a lot, which I need.
Yes.
And at the same time, I am more there to get back in the mindset of let's focus on business and stop letting things pull you, and let's just get in the right mindset.
So 3 times.
Yep.
And I would ask you, do you think it's a good investment in your career?
It has been for me.
It has been
for me.
And of course, the company offers a scholarship and the refunds and the reimbursement program and all those kind of things. The biggest thing, what I hear you say, I guess 2 things: a mindset, and it puts you in a productive environment where it's going to get you off your butt when you kind of fall into a rut.
Right.
Is that a fair way of saying it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we mentioned earlier, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you're sitting in a room, and I've been very, very fortunate to be seated at a table at Bold with people who are way better at this business than I am.
Gotcha.
And I take full advantage of it.
Right.
Right.
So one of the questions I have on my little sheet here for you have you ever attended Mega Camper Family Reunion?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
And so what's holding you back there?
Good question.
What limiting belief do you have around Mega Camper Family Reunion that I could help you with today?
In reality, it's just been that I haven't wanted to. One of them this year, I remember I let it slip up on me, and I didn't have a conversation with my wife about going.
Right.
And so I didn't want to go to her a week ahead and go, hey, I'm going to be in Austin for a week or whatever it was.
Particularly with the new baby on the way, right?
And the new baby on the way. The overall picture is that I just haven't wanted to spend the money to go.
Right.
And from my side, of course, not knowing what all's offered there,
right,
it's somewhat limited.
Sure.
So there's some of the mindset of, should I spend the money and show up and not really get anything out of it?
So let me help you with that.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So I'm sure there's people out in the audience that may have a similar situation as you and going, man, can I really afford to do this? Is it going to be a good investment? I don't really know what's going on. And I'll share a brief story with you. I had a team leader when we launched the Market Center come up to me and said, Phil, are you going to family reunion this year? And I'm going, you mean the convention? Because, see, I was in the corporate world for 27 years. And he goes, no, we call it family reunion. I said, oh. And he goes, Phil, you need to go. I said, eh. And he goes, no, you really need to go. It's life-changing. And I stopped in my tracks and I looked at him. Come on now. Life-changing is when we're going to have a new baby. That's life-changing. I said, a real estate convention is not life-changing. And he goes, Phil, I promise you this, that you'll go to this event and you will learn something about the real estate business that will change your life and your trajectory forever. And not only that, I'm sure knowing you, Phil, that you'll come back and you're going to help other people change their lives too. And so I'll go, that's life, sounds like life changing. And so I've been to every single mega camp for the last 14 years and every family union for the last 14 years. And I will tell you, there hasn't been a one that hasn't been life changing. And if you want to change the trajectory of your business, then I would make that investment. So that's from me to you, brother.
Yeah. Well, and to tag on to that, and this is a big factor for me, is watching what other successful people do.
Yep.
And the successful people are going.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, that's the thing. I would put that in your 20 plans, because you said you already have a plan, and I would look at your growth plan and the kind of things that's going to help David become the person you need to become. Right? What kind of books are you reading? What kind of classes and training are you going to? And not only that, as knowing you, David, and your quality person, what kind of classes are you teaching? Because here's one of the things that I learned in my life is that, hey, I remember when they came to Phil, we want you to teach Sunday school class. I'm going, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I can't do that. Yeah. And I'm going, I'll be happy to share what I learned, but I can't teach, you know? And so come and share what you have learned. And the way you're going to grow yourself is by digging in, pick a topic. Say, man, I'm going to have a book club. Yep. Michael Manuel's done those kind of things, and start leading those things and develop yourself and become the leader that God intended you to be.
Yeah.
So now I sound like I'm preaching.
No. Look, I love those things. You know, you're speaking right into me because I love doing those things, and you know that.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Here's another investment. Have you ever considered getting a MAPS coach?
I've briefly considered it a few times, yes.
Okay. So here's the thing I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to encourage you on your plan to figure out when you can afford, based on the production level you want to go to make that investment in your life, because I believe that will change your trajectory as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you have someone working in partnership with you to help you achieve your goals, I can tell you, I know so many people that have it. I have a couple. I have actually 4.
Yeah.
Right. And so you said we're the sum of the people in it. And I've got 4 pretty bright people speaking into my life. So anyway, I want that for you, and I want you to think about it. Okay. So what do you believe an agent should do to grow their business? You're relatively new in it. We have agents out there that are watching this podcast today or listening to the podcast saying, man, David's on track. So what would you speak into their lives? What would you tell them that they need to do, David?
Looking back over the course of what I've done thus far, you know, we teach as a company people how to grow their business. And so all of those things that are in there, the lead generation, I think the biggest thing for me is continuing to study and learn what successful people are doing.
Right.
We don't have to reinvent the wheel to be successful. There are people who are doing things that are doing very, very well that we just refuse to do on our own. And I'm sitting back going, why have I not done that for the past year? Or, you know, what changes can I make? Because sometimes it's not just what am I doing? It's what am I doing that's not working? And so figuring out what is right, time blocking, that's probably the biggest thing that's impacted me, is ensuring that what I'm doing during my day is effective and efficient to lead me in a direction of success. And seemingly the vast majority of people don't do that. They let the day just come by. So study what people are doing, have a plan for your day and your week. And I think that you can't help if you're not growing, you're dying. So if you continue to grow, you'll continue to see progress. You'll continue to see success. And I think that for me has been the biggest thing.
Right. So we're on track to finish this year at 3 million. And you've already tentatively said 5. Why 5? Why not 10?
It could be 10. I want to make it attainable, just like I did the 3.5. So my last year really ticked me off on my final number because I was right short of where I wanted to be. And yet I decided to let's just bump it up another $1.5 million because I knew that there would be it's attainable at that point. And so I want to set a goal that I know is achievable and that I also know is realistic.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. This is a great segue here. So we've set a goal of 5 million.
Mm-hmm.
So David, can you achieve that 5 million next year doing what you're currently doing today? No. So that means you have to grow into the person that you need to become to achieve that 5 million.
Right.
And do you know what that is, where you got to grow?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Now you're on the journey, and you're looking for it. So is there anything that I didn't think to ask you that you'd like to volunteer our audience today?
Is this the conclusion question?
We're wrapping up.
I'll mention this, and I think it's been drastically important to me in real estate.
Gotcha.
And I'll be brief with it. The biggest thing that I found for me is everybody gets to define success how they will. It's not 100% monetary for everybody.
That's right.
And so for me, if you help enough people get what they want in life,
That's right.
You can have whatever you want.
That's right.
The same person who made that statement also said that money's not everything, but it's right up there next to oxygen.
That's right.
And so while that's a good statement, you still have to make money in doing it. Well, real estate has provided that for me. It's been an opportunity for me to make money, to grow in self-employment and grow around the people that I am, but also serve and have more freedom than I would if I were behind the doors of the corporate of a corporate building. I'm able to build relationships. In fact, I met a guy recently who's almost 80 years old. Time and relationships are the biggest things for me. And I met a guy the other day who's almost 80 years old, and he's got Parkinson's. And I don't know how much longer he's going to be here, but he's very wealthy, and he's done very well in business. And he's not passing that off to anybody except me right now.
Very
and
nice.
So if I were in the corporate world, or if I were locked up in some type of an employment system, I would have never had the opportunity to spend this time that I've got with him, it's not about money. It's about the knowledge he's given me and the wisdom he's instilling in me. And it's those types of relationships and investments that have made a world of difference. It's the liberating side of being self-employed. Now, you still have to make money, and you still have to do those things, but it's been a big factor for me.
And so that's what I'm going to tell you from a personal perspective, that's one of the things that Bold has helped me personally with, is to be able to take the lid off of my thinking and to have unlimited thinking. And of course, we talk about that here in this book. People have gone before us. And as a matter of fact, the subtitle says it's not about the money. It's about being the best you can be. Right. Now, you need the money because the money builds churches and libraries, and it gives you the ability to help people when they're in need.
Yep.
And so those things are important. But back to the point is that you and we don't even have a glimmer of the potential that God has for us.
Mm-hmm.
We limit what we allow him to do because of our own limitations in our mind. And so I think that we have to get to a place where we think possibilities. We have to think big possibilities. And it would freaking blow our mind 5 years from today if we're sitting here again having the things that you and I will be able to accomplish over the next 5 years, that we'll be able to sow back in other people's lives and help them become who they need to become, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's our journey as well. I want to do one little segue. We have this upcoming event. What's that called, David?
The Dragon Boat Regatta.
The Dragon Boat Regatta. And I'm so appreciative of you and your leadership in taking that on for our company and helping us be seen as a company that loves to have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about the regatta.
Yeah, the Dragon Boat Regatta is coming up September 28th, and it's an event where they basically have a huge canoe that fits 20 people in it, and everybody paddles for a race. And the race is only about 2.5, 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's a sprint.
Yeah.
And it's just a big. They have Madison County Chamber of Commerce puts it on out at the reservoir, and over 2,000 people attend every year. And I tell the fellow realtors who show up, man, what better place to go find business? There's gotta be people out here and who need a house or whatever. And so it's a great fun event. It's like a huge tailgate. We spend time together. And what I found with our company specifically is that we tend to only see each other at our team meetings or in the office. This gives us an opportunity outside of business to get to know one another and grow with each other and become more friends than colleagues.
Yes.
And so it's been a really good event historically. This is my 6th or 7th year doing it. And it's just been good. It's just such a good event to get to know people.
Well, and we appreciate you and your leadership in that.
Thank you.
David is a great guy. I want you guys to get to know David. Has a lot to offer, and his path is set to be able to hit that $5 million goal next year. I have no doubt about that. So, David, I want to thank you for coming in today. And it's our desire to help change lives and live the dream. And so we'll see you on our next podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been a production of Keller Williams Realty in Flowood, Mississippi, located at 132 Riverview Drive, Suite A. To contact our offices, call us at 601-977-9411.